So, hello. I've had a question from someone who is in the three principles community. And the question is around how can we stay in this deeper feeling that many people who are on a spiritual kind of journey tend to experience? And I thought it could be a bit of a challenge to make a quick video about this because basically, this is the heart and soul of the work that we do with people is to not only touch this space, this feeling, but also to understand, well, what keeps us from living in it, and then help people to access it more and more frequently in their life. But I thought let's have a stab at recording a video about this and see where we go. So the first thing I want to say is, what is this feeling that people are talking about? And what is it all about? And from my perspective, I was thinking about when I first sort of touched what people call this deeper feeling. And it was during my own healing journey. And I was going through a really incredibly difficult time. There was no part of my life that had not been touched by me becoming unwell. And I remember I was at the time I was with a friend of mine who was a yoga teacher. And we were talking about, I think we were talking about the nature of identity, which is kind of ironic given what we're talking about here. And then at some point in this conversation, I found myself so quiet, so open, so free, so okay, which in the context of my life at that point was very strange because I was seeing my friend because I was still unwell and because I was still struggling and I was trying to get myself back together again. So here I was sitting in his flat. We were having a conversation, and all of a sudden, I was just really expansive and really free and really okay and felt connected to everything. And it was really strange. And it lasted for about 10 seconds. Didn't last long. So I get it. I understand when people say to me, well, what is it, this feeling? And then suddenly it goes. Well, I can tell you from my perspective, why it went or what happened when it went was I started thinking about my life again and how am I going to solve everything and how am I going to be okay. It was almost like touching this space. Well, okay, that's very nice, isn't it? This space is lovely, but it was like it wasn't functional. It was like it wasn't powerful. And that was a massive misunderstanding that I had. And so I want to say something about that, but also say this space is what everyone is looking for. We think this space, right, is something that only exists when we've solved our life, when we've got somewhere, when we've made it, when we've been successful, when we've been healed. We think that's when that space is going to show up. But actually, that space is here, in fact, right now, in this present moment. You aren't missing it at all. You've not lost it. It's just temporarily shrouded from you seeing it because you're in the noise in your mind. You're not present to it. And the more you can start to see, oh, wait, okay, I look for this space in my goals. I look for this space in trying to do things. But actually, it's the moment I stop. It's the moment I'm not in my head. It's the moment I become utterly present that I find that space. That's the first thing to see. Everybody's looking for this space outside of them. And actually, it's ever present. And the moment it shows up is the moment you've stopped seeking it. It's the moment you've stopped being in your head. It's the moment that you come back here, now, this moment, this present moment, right? So that's the first thing to see. We're all looking for this, and we're all looking for it in the wrong place outside of us. So the first thing is to become aware of that. Every way we look for this and to see, oh, that's an illusion. That's not true. That's not how it works. And once you see that, you're looking in the right direction, but it still won't be enough, right? And I'll say more. So the mind will go, yeah, okay, that's nice, but how am I going to navigate things then if I'm not thinking about my life? Well, this was my journey and the understanding of the three principles. So I had to begin to see a deeper intelligence. I was what I call a recovering intellectual. I am what I call a recovering intellectual. I thought that it was my mind, my thinking, my very, logical, rational, analytical Virgo brain that was really good at figuring out my life. Except what I didn't see is that actually underneath all of that thinking is an intelligence. And that intelligence works in the moment. It's what gives us insight. It's what allows us to navigate things in the moment. It's what nudges me to pay a bill. It's what gets me to know what to say to a client when I'm really, really present and I'm not thinking about what to say to a client. It's what actually doing this video right now. There's no script for this. I'm just doing this in the moment. I'm trusting that intelligence to come through me without some grand plan, right? So we don't recognize that underneath our intellect is an intelligence, and that intelligence is running the show. Now, that intelligence was, or coming alive to that intelligence, was a big part of my own healing journey. The more I started to see, and it was a doctor and a combination of my understanding of the three principles that got me to see this, but the more I was looking in the direction of this intelligence, and then one day a doctor said to me, "Do you know how much energy it takes to be this tired?" I suddenly started to see, oh, okay, it's how much I live in my head that is using up my energy. It's how much I think about what I've got to do, how much I think about whether I'm going to be okay doing X, Y, Z in the future, and whether I'm going to have enough energy and whether I'm going to know what to do. That's the thing that takes up my energy. And the more I came alive to the fact that there was a moment to moment intelligence that was in life, I didn't have to do that so much. Now, that was an insight for me that blew my brains, and it was responsible for my healing because I just started to live more present as a result of that. But there's another thing that matters, right? So it's not just the logical understanding of the power of this place, it's also the living in it more and more. Another aspect, actually, of seeing the power of this space comes from understanding about how we live in an energetic universe, right? It's all energy. And part of what allows us to create, let's say, new outcomes is our electromagnetic frequency. Now, when we dwell in low vibrational states of fear, anxiety, depression, there's a signature to that. There's a vibrational frequency to that. But there is also a intelligence that comes alive in us when we start to dwell in higher states of gratitude, oneness, unity, wholeness, the deeper feeling that the principles community would talk about. This is something I learned from learning about the HeartMath work that has been done. So when we are dwelling in those higher states, that deeper feeling, our brain and our heart go into a state of coherence, and the messages between them become very coherent. Another thing happens, which is that our electromagnetic expression from our heart becomes thousands of times. So our field from our heart becomes thousands of times bigger when we are in this state of coherence. So the other thing I started to notice when I started living more in a coherent place was, wait, when I'm in this place, seems like opportunities come to me. Seems like things happen synchronistically that aren't a part of my planning. Right now, the more we understand quantum physics and the observer effect and how we're living in this probability field, and the thing that begins to create outcomes is the observer, and us in a state of observation of heart coherence is the thing that starts to observe timelines that are in relation to that frequency. So if I'm dwelling in a expanded electromagnetic state from a state of gratitude, oneness, unity, deeper feeling, I'm putting that out to the field. And that's sending a signal that says, I want timelines that are in relation to that. And because we are now expressing that energy, it can now start to reshape reality and the form to bring us things that are in alignment with that, right? So that's another aspect of it. It's the seeing that living in this place is not only possible because there's this moment to moment intelligence that comes through us, but living in this place is magnetic to higher timelines and higher expressions of ourselves. Why on earth would I not want to do that? That's in fact what every single one of us is trying to achieve by being in our heads and trying to analyze and control the world. But we're not recognizing that when we're in our natural state of this deeper feeling, we're utterly present. We're in peace. We're in wholeness. We're in unity. And from that place, this intelligence can give us insight. It can give us knowings about what to do. But it is also an electromagnetic state that is able to shape the hologram of life and attract things to us that are in alignment with the frequency that we're living in. Why on earth would I not want to live in that? So when the mind starts to see the power of this place, it can get on board with it and go, okay, I'm up for it. But you've got another challenge that can keep you still from living in that feeling. And that's this, the body, right? The body is an expression of our consciousness. And over time, if we live a particular way, that consciousness starts to create a chemical expression in the body that it can run on autopilot over and over again. It becomes a rhythm of the body. So if the knowledge of the power of this space is kind of food for the mind to get the mind on board, emotion is the thing that is going to start to change all of this. Now, this is something I did not see during my 3 principles work, is that sometimes insight into the power of this place can be enough. Often it's enough for people who know something already about this place and may have gone to sleep to it. But what about people who don't? Their bodies are running programs of anxiety, panic, fight or flight, survival. Sometimes they've done it their entire life, maybe from when they were a kid, if they've gone through trauma or something like that. Like people like that are not going to just, access this space without some kind of prescription, right? And that's why the work is not only to go, well, this is what you're looking for, right? It's underneath thought. It's who you are. It's your natural state. But it's also get the mind on board. Okay, the mind has to see this is a creative space. This helps you navigate your life. It also needs to see, oh, it's an electromagnetic space. It attracts things to me. It makes me more magnetic to outcomes that are on a higher timeline. Okay, mind is on board. What about this? Well, this has to be rehearsed. This has to be trained. We have to know all of the ways in which we take ourselves away from presence and also train the body in that feeling over and over and over again. So it's not just, oh, I understand it and insight's enough. It's like, no, I've got to become so aware of my unconscious thoughts. I've got to get so aware of that feeling that I'm living in and how connected or disconnected I am to this deeper feeling, and then start to do things to train myself to come back to it. I still have to do this all the time. I'm constantly noticing, oh, look, I'm in this situation. I'm running a program of being annoyed about this. Wait, is that what I want? No. Okay, come back to presence. Come back to what's the feeling I want to be in here. I'm literally teaching my body how this wants to see the world, right? I'm getting it on board. And the more you're doing this over and over again, maybe you're rehearsing it in meditation. Maybe you do HeartMath practice. Maybe you have this immersion where you visualize things and you use solfeggio frequencies or binaural beats or things like that. But doing whatever you got to do to break the pattern of the part of you that is so used to seeing things from this and from being in control and the low frequency feeling that's associated with that. through to, no, I'm coming back to presence. I'm going to feel this way. I'm going to create this feeling in me and train this to feel this way. And once you start to find that feeling and you've trained the body enough, you start to find that certainly in contexts, it will arise naturally because you have trained the body to be a new way. Now, one of the other things that we find, though, is that sometimes that training doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is because we get conflicted, right? We may have aspects of us that actually still think it's relevant to live in low vibe states. We somehow think, oh, it's powerful to be that way. And so we may try and train ourselves to live from that deeper feeling. And then there's a part of us, and it's a protection mechanism. There's a part of our body that goes, nah, I'm not taking that on. And that's why if you then find yourself trying to go into these deeper states and to come back home to this place beneath thought, you might need to look and go, wait, is there some part of me that actually thinks it's useful to stay angry here or to stay anxious or fearful or whatever it might be? And when that happens, you got to look and go, well, what do I think it means if I let go of that and see what comes up in you? Because chances are it's trying to do something to protect you. It's trying to keep you safe. And if you engage with that and you still think that that's where safety comes from, there's no amount of you trying to teach the body a new way of being that is going to land in your nervous system, because the body's going to go, ah, that's unsafe. You got to see it and go, is that true? Is it really true that living in this state is giving me what I'm looking for? Is it really true that living in this state is keeping me safe? And once you start to see new insight about it, the mind then goes, oh, okay, I don't need to protect there anymore. Good, we're good. And then when you go into the rehearsal process, you're much more likely to find that that's going to land. So this is what, a nearly 20-minute video of talking to you about what it essentially is that we do with people on retreat in getting them to rewire their nervous system and to blend sort of insight with embodiment and to make this real for people. So I hope you find this interesting and useful. I'm very much considering that we might actually do an online retreat along these lines to take people through this process, because I know lots of people can't always come and do a one-on-one, or they maybe want something to do to get a real feel for what this is about. So let's see. I hope this lands for you. I hope you find it useful, and feel free to drop me a comment or an email and just let me know what you get from this. But in the meantime, I'm sending you lots and lots of love, and take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.